Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by UFC Lightweight Danny Castillo. Danny, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Danny, you got a fight coming up August 30th at UFC 177. It's no secret, you're looking for big fights. You want to step up in competition. You want to step up into the top 10. You want to test yourself against those guys in this stacked and crowded 155 division in the UFC. You want a big fight, and because of this, change of, this event, you were supposed to fight on August 2nd, now you're fighting on August 30th. John Jones gets injured, and now Demetrius Johnson and Chris Carriasso becomes the main event for the Cormier-Jones card, and now you slide up into the co-main event of UFC 177. So now, this was supposed to be a fight that would get you into a big fight. Now you're in a big fight. How excited are you for this opportunity? You're fighting in a co-main event on a big pay-per-view, and it's in your hometown.
Yeah, man. Words can't really explain. When I got the news, I was just fired up to be even on the. I was on the main card. That's what the card looked like. I was the second fight on the main card, and I was just excited about that, man, because for so long I've been with the company for 6 years, and it's the first time I was on the main event. This is gonna be my 19th fight with Zuffa, and the first time I've ever been on the main event. So I was stoked. And then hard sparring, had a great day of training. I get to the locker room, I check my phone, and my phone is just crazy. Twitter messages, my manager, my friends and family, just I don't know. I think there was like 50 texts, 50 alerts on my phone, and I found out, and it was it was just a great feeling. I was choked up, had a lump in my throat, and it's validation, man. I've been training, and I've been fighting for a long time in the big show, and I'm finally there.
Mm-hmm. Now, you fought twice under the Zuffa banner in Sacramento. You fought on UFC on Fox 9 against Edson Barboza, and then you fought against Donald Cerrone in actually your debut at WEC way back when at WEC 34. Is third time the charm in Sacramento for you this time around?
Yeah, that's what I'm going with. My debut against Donald Cerrone was, I believe, on 5 days' notice.
Mm-hmm.
I took the fight in my hometown. It was a great experience for me. I lost, unfortunately, but that's where my career started. After that, I had a 5-fight deal, and 18 fights later, I'm here. Last December, I had a really close. I lost a close decision to Edson Barboza. It was 5-the-night performance in my hometown, and it was frustrating because I think it should have been a draw. But I actually think I should have won watching the fight. The first round should have been a 10-8. You take a point away from him for grabbing the fence twice, which he did. I mean, I had him in a rear naked choke. He grabbed the fence to get out, and he got a warning after the second time he grabbed the fence, and it was lesson learned. Bottom line is, in the third round, I could have pushed a little bit harder, and I didn't, and that was a learning experience, and that's what I'm taking away from that fight, and it will never happen again. I promised myself that if I'm ever in that situation again, that's never going to happen. And, fast forward to now, and I have the opportunity to prove that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, this fight originally was supposed to take place at UFC 176 on August 2nd, but then that event was scrapped, and now this fight moves to August 30th. How has it affected your training? Obviously, everyone, when they start a training camp, they're trying to peak for the right time and be peaking on fight night, not a week before or a week after they fight. They're trying to peak at a certain time. How has this affected your training with the fight being moved back a few weeks?
Well, like I said, I'm a vet. In fact, this has happened to me before.
Right.
I'm one of 2 fighters that have been on the card, the only 2 UFC cards that have ever been canceled in UFC history. Mm-hmm. The first one was John Jones and Hendo, I believe.
Right.
That one got... Go ahead.
Right. Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
John Jones.
That one got postponed, and a little bit further. The UFC sent me a check in the mail to help me get by financially. This time, I was expecting the check, but, instead I got something better than the check. I got the opportunity to fight in my hometown in front of my friends and family, and to get a little bit of redemption for the last time I fought here. So that's better than any check they could have gave me, and I'm ready to seize the moment. I'm ready to, I'm embracing this opportunity, and this is the fight that's gonna. I can't say this is the fight that's going to make my career or push me anywhere because, I just don't think. I need to go out there and perform. I need to have a dominant performance in order to get anywhere. In the lightweight division, it's the deepest division in the UFC, and it's the biggest talent pool. It's a shark tank full of talented fighters, and to make a name for myself. Any other division, 19 fights, I'm 7-3. Any other division, there's a slight possibility that I'd be in the top 10. Mm-hmm. In fact, if I was at featherweight, I'm almost positive I'd be in the top 10. I beat 2 of the top 10 fighters in the featherweight division. I have wins over Ricardo Lamas. I have wins over Dustin Poirier back in the WEC days. I need this fight. I need a dominant performance. I need to finish Tony Ferguson to get anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a very impressive accomplishment you have to yourself. 19 fights. This fight on August 30th will make it 19 for you under the Zuffa umbrella, whether it's with WEC or UFC. But the only person who I've really seen talking about that is you. You're the only guy who's really been, saying, hey, I've been here for a long time. I've grown up in this company. I've been fighting all the top guys. Why do you think a lot of people are overlooking that? Why do you think a lot of people kind of aren't really dialed into that and haven't really looked into what you've accomplished?
It's my own fault, man. I've had several opportunities. I've gone on 3-fight win streaks and I came up short. It's my own fault. It's no one else's fault. I don't blame anyone. But, the reason why I say it is because people need to know. The casual fan has no idea who I am or what I've done. So that's why this fight is very important to me. That's why me being bumped into the main card, I've definitely got to seize the moment. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I talk about it is because that's a huge accomplishment, man. Right. I'm proud of my roots. I fought in the WEC where we had some of the best lightweights in the world: Donald Cerrone, Benson Henderson, Anthony Pettis, and myself. Mm-hmm. And those are the only lightweights still here. Granted, Ricardo Lamas came over, Dustin Poirier came over, and they've made huge names for themselves in the featherweight division. But in terms of lightweights, that's the 4 lightweights that are still in the UFC from the WEC, and people don't know that. And I'm not going to say it's frustrating to me because it doesn't matter, and I get paid the same amount no matter who or what's going on in my career. I'm under contract with the UFC, and my pay's already set in scale. Mm-hmm. So the reason why I bring that up is just so people know. Just so Tony Ferguson knows that I've been fighting the best fighters in the world for a really long time, for 6 years to be exact. Mm-hmm.
The reason I said, you're the only guy talking about it is because I'm surprised that no one else is talking about it. I find it, very, disappointing or very shocking that you're the only one talking about this. I'm surprised that not more people are talking about this because it is a very big accomplishment. When you got into WEC, you only were training 5 or 6 months? You compare.
I had 6 weeks of training. Faber said, "You're ready for your first fight." I took his advice. I finished that fight. 6 weeks later, I had another fight. 6 weeks later, I had another fight. I was 5-0, 5 mm-hmm. finishes within 8 months. I was at the bar celebrating my victory in my 5th professional win. I get the call to fight in Sacramento. I took it, and it's been a career full of ups and downs. But I'm extremely happy. I'm extremely grateful for everything I've done, and everything that I have right now is a testament to one thing, and that's hard work. I've worked my butt off for the last 6 years. I don't take any breaks. I'm never out of shape. I'm always best fighter in the world, and I haven't reached my potential, so I have to train every day to get to what I want. And, hard work is it's also something that holds me back, because a lot of the time I go in these fights and I'm overtrained. But it's getting better, with experience. It's trial and error. I've got a ton of experience. I've got an awesome coach. I've got awesome teammates, and with the combination of their advice and their guidance, I'm a complete mixed martial artist now.
Mm-hmm. With you being thrown to the wolves so early in your career, 5 fights into it, you're already in the WEC and fighting against Donald Cerrone, a guy who had a lot more experience than you at the time. Looking back now and looking where you are at your career at the moment, do you think that you've overachieved? Do you think you've underachieved? Do you think you're at the right point at where you were, that many years ago till now? Where do you think you should be at, or are you at the point that you thought you were going to be at this point, 6 years in Zuffa?
No, actually, I think I've underachieved. As crazy as that might sound, I just it's like the whole time my whole career with Zuffa, I've been playing catch up. I've never. It was 8 months of hitting the bag, 8 months of hitting pads, and then all of a sudden I'm fighting an elite striker like Donald Cerrone. Mm-hmm. And fast forward to a year and a half later, I'm fighting Anthony Pettis. 2 fights that I lost, but it's all a part of my story. And right now where I'm at in my career, I feel like I'm a complete mixed martial artist. I've got great stand-up skills. Thanks to Coach Ludwig. The power that I have in my hands, the knockout power, was God-given. But in terms of being a ground guy, I struggled with that in the beginning of my career also. It's like I've been playing catch-up with the best fighters in the world. But now, I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Right after my Charlie Brenneman fight, I had a big knockout. 7 days later, I flew to Brazil, and I competed in Copa Pidio, a huge Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournament where I agreed to fight. They call it fight, but I agreed to grapple the guy, a black belt, no points, no time, just to the submission, and I was able to submit a black belt in Brazil in 8 minutes. So I feel like I'm a complete, total mixed martial artist. My wrestling's always been there. That's my strong suit, and there's no more catching up. I'm here. I'm here to face the best in the world, and I've been doing it for a long time, but now I'm prepared. Mm-hmm.
You're in a very tough division, no doubt about that. Earlier, you said it perfectly. If you were in a different division, you might be in the top 10 right now. You might have fought for a title by now. You never know if you're in a different division, because 155 is so stacked in the UFC. But I'm just curious, what's holding you back? Is it just like you said earlier, playing catch up? Is that what's held you back from putting more than 3 fights in a row together? Because you've had three-fight win streaks in your Zuffa career, but you haven't been able to get to 4 or 5. You haven't been able to get beyond that. Is that just what's held you back, is that you've been playing catch-up?
Yeah, and it's the nature of the sport, man. It's the reason why everyone loves MMA. Is because anything can happen in a fight, and unfortunately, I've been on the wrong end on a couple of those fights. But I will say this: the last 2 fights that I lost, I was right in those fights. I lost to Michael Johnson. I lost by knockout. But that first round was a 10-8 round. I put Michael Johnson on his butt. I had him in an arm triangle. An arm triangle for, a minute and a half. I was close to finishing those fights. Edson Barbosa, the same thing. I would say 9 out of 10 refs would have stopped that fight because, I put a beat down on him. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And, it's just part of the sport. I take all the positives from those negative nights in my life, mm-hmm. and I'm running with them. I'm not going to let that happen. If I get Tony Ferguson in an arm triangle, it's game over, guaranteed.
Mm-hmm. And on the flip side, how have you been able to avoid the losing streaks? Obviously, you dropped 2 in a row in WEC, but let's just talk about UFC here. You had a loss to Jacob Volkman, and then you went into a nice little win streak. You lost to Michael Johnson, you put 2 in a row. You lost to Edson Barboza, and then you rebounded with a nice win. What's been the secret to not falling into a pit where you just drop fight after fight? How have you been able to lose a fight, but then bounce right back and get a win?
I'm hungry. I'm motivated. I want to be the best fighter in the world. I don't like to lose. I don't think anyone likes to lose, but it really affects me, and I hate that feeling. And every day I go into the gym and I train my butt off to never experience that feeling. It's the nature of the sport. It's always going to happen. The best fighters in the world, everyone's got a loss at one point in time. I think there's only a couple fighters out there. There's only one champion that's undefeated, and I think that's Chris Weidman. Anderson Silva. He was on a huge fight streak. He was dominant, the most dominant fighter in UFC history. I'm not sure how long his win streak was and how many times he defended that belt, but he dropped 2 after that, and it's unfortunate, but that's why we're in this great sport. Anything can happen, I don't want to lose. I hate losing, and every day I wake up, I wake up with motivation to be the best fighter in the world, and hard work will do a lot for you, and I've been working hard my whole life.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just curious. Let's go back to before T.J. Dillashaw beat Renan Barão and became UFC Bantamweight champion. Let's go back to before that time when, Chad Mendes, he fights for the title, he comes up short. Benavidez fights for the title, he comes up short. Faber fights for the title a couple times, comes up short. You, being a guy who's, trying to get into the top 10 and trying to follow in the footsteps of these guys and fight for a belt, did you ever say to yourself, like, man, I'm a little bit behind them. I'm still growing. I'm still getting better. I'm a little bit behind them right now, but I'm trying to break in there and do what they're doing. And I'm training with these guys every day, and they're all very talented, but they can't get the belt. And, they're hovering around that, but they haven't been able to capture it. Did you ever have, like doubts in your mind? Did you ever have, like confidence issues where you're like, I'm training with these guys on a day-to-day basis, and they're all great, but they're not capturing the title. How am I ever going to do it? Did you ever have a moment like that?
Never.
Never?
Ever. Never has that ever crossed my mind. Faber lost a close one to Dominic Cruz, and a lot of people, including myself, granted I am biased because Uriah's my homie, but,
right.
I thought he won that fight against Dominic Cruz. I thought it was really, really close. The Chad Mendes fight, Chad Mendes had Aldo not grabbed the cage and Chad Mendes came down with that takedown, he would have never got that knockout. It would have been a whole different game. I'm not saying Chad would have won the fight, but the outcome of that round, so to speak, would have been completely different. Joseph Benavidez, this is what the outside people don't. I always hear this stuff, and it's been a long time, so it doesn't really bother me anymore. Mm-hmm. I hear it all the time, and
right.
Actually, it's kind of funny. One of the things that I thought was really funny is I saw online it was the Team Alpha Fail. I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was actually really catchy. But I know the inside information. Joseph Benavidez could barely lift up his right arm going into that first fight with Demetrius Johnson. The second fight was unfortunate, man. Those things happen all the time. But those guys are the best fighters in the world, and they're still the best fighters in the world. I don't think there's another fighter at 125 that could beat Joseph Benavidez except Demetrius Johnson, and I think it's a toss-up. On any given day, Joseph could win that fight. Same thing with Chad Mendes. There's was like who's next in line? Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson's he's really talented, and he's got so much better. But if you rewind, 4 years ago, Chad Mendes destroyed Cub Swanson in their fight. You know, his wrestling was awesome. I'm not saying that would happen again, but those are the best fighters in the world, and I don't think there's another fighter on the planet that can beat Chad Mendes at 145. I don't think there's another fighter in the world that can beat, Joseph Benavidez at 125. So, never in my head did that ever, occur to me like, oh my God, my teammates can't win a fight. That's never crossed my mind at all.
I see. I was just curious about that. Now, what's the situation with Duane Ludwig? Before your last fight, you said that this was going to be the last time you were going to work with him. TJ Dillashaw, before his last fight, he said that was going to be the last camp with Duane. Now, all of a sudden... What? Oh, I mean, as at Team Alpha Male. Sorry, with him actually being in the gym full time. Sorry about that.
It's all right. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, sorry. That's what I meant. I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
I'll work with Duane for the rest of my career.
Right. Yeah.
Duane is a good friend of mine, and he's also a coach, and he's someone I look up to, and Duane wants to go back home and live his dream, and ever since he was a kid. Again, people don't see this from the outside. I know the inside information, so it's different for me. Ever since Duane was a kid, he's always wanted to own his own academy, and that's been his lifelong dream. And he told me that when he was leaving, and it's like, who am I to say? He's my buddy, he's my friend. I want the best for him. My dream is to be the champion. He wants that for me too, and in fact, we work hard at it every day. His family was out here. They moved to California. His family's away from their family. All he wants to do is get his kids back to Colorado with his family, open up a school, and I support that 100%. There's been comments in the media from him and Uriah that got turned around. It's just like, oh, there's so much drama and turmoil inside Alpha Male. It's not even like that, man. If you came to the gym, you'd see it. You'd have no idea any of that would happen. They say hi to each other. They're buddies. I mean, they're training. They train together. There's no drama at all. Right now, Coach Ludwig is flying in on Monday, and he's running practice all the way to Thursday. He flies home for the weekend, hangs out with his family. He's still trying to get his academy situated, and that's what's going on. There's no drama. There's no beef. We get along together, and as you can see, he's doing wonders for our team. In fact, we're voted best team in the world, and he was voted best coach in the world. Right. So it's a perfect fit.
My question was going to be, where did all this drama stuff come from? Because if I can remember correctly, that was the plan. His plan was to always go back to Colorado and open his own gym. Where did all this drama stuff come from?
I really don't know, man. I think Uriah had put out that we were looking for a new coach, and out to the media, and the media turned it around, and then I think Coach Ludwig felt a little bit disrespected by that, but it wasn't anything disrespectful. I think they just kind of just some stuff gets misconstrued, and you put that in the media, and then you have all these people blowing it up like, oh my God, all the drama in Alpha Male, and then until they sat down and talked about what was going on, it was awkward at first, but now it's great. In fact, we had a meeting, all the guys in the UFC, Uriah and Coach Ludwig. We ran through a list of names who we can bring in to help. But I think that's what's it, man. I can't give you a definite answer.
Sure. I understand. Who's the guy who is on that short list? Who are the guys on that short list of who can come in and be the main coach at Team Alpha Male? Is it Martin Kampman? I've heard like maybe Justin Buchholz will get a bigger role with the team. What's the situation? We heard a bunch of names thrown out early, but Martin Kampman seems to be the only guy from the outside who's come in and been the guy that they rumored being the coach, and now he's there. So is he the guy who's going to step in?
Right now, I don't think there's anything set in stone. I don't think he's the number one pick, or I don't think he's the number one choice. Right now, because TJ got the title fight, because I'm fighting, because Andre Fili's got a fight coming up, that whole search for someone has been put on hold. So there's no definite answer for that. I wish I could give you an answer. In fact, I wish I wish Coach never was going to Colorado, man.
Right.
I love him. He's one of the best coaches I've ever had, and I've been in sports for 28 plus years. And, it's really comforting having a coach that works just as hard as I do, and that's Coach Ludwig. He's, I can't say enough about him. I respect him as a man. I respect him as a coach. I respect him as a husband and a father.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I've heard you say in the past that some teammates that you have at Team Alpha Male you like more than some people in your own family. Is this true?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From the outside eye, it seems like everyone at Team Alpha Male really gets along with each other. Obviously, I've never been there, and I don't know you guys on a personal level, but from what I see on the outside looking in, it seems like everyone really gets along with each other, and everyone, even if you guys weren't fighting, if you saw these guys on the street, you would hang out with them. It really seems like that. Is that part of the deal? Do people have to be able to get along with each other to train at the gym? Because it seems like everyone really likes each other.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I met some of those dudes that I'd hang out with them,
sure.
just
sure.
and like, hey, what's up? I don't know about that, but
right.
You should definitely come out and experience it, man. It's a cool environment, and it's like no other. I've trained at a couple other gyms, and we just have a great bond. There's no set agreement on anything. I guess the unspoken rule is to train hard, to give it your all, be respectful, and have a positive attitude. I guess that would probably be the unspoken rule of the team. Because we have guys on the team that will probably, to be honest, that will probably never make it to a big show. Probably never be the main event of a small show, but we work together. Everyone works together, and the weakest guy on the team, if he's not there, it's everyone's a working part. Everyone has their role, and it's been like that for quite some time. When I got to Uriah's gym, Uriah and I had been friends ever since we were 14 years old, wrestling on the same all-star teams together. In fact, he's the one that got me to start fighting. Mm-hmm. He went to Davis, I went to Menlo. Fast forward 4 years past, we got back in contact through MySpace of all things, and he told me it takes a certain type of fighter to certain type of person to be a fighter, and I think you got it. Mm-hmm. I kind of laughed at all. I was working a sales and marketing job, and I really started to think about it, and I talked to my mom about everything, and I still had some competitiveness in me. I lost my last match in college in the NAIA National Finals, and it just didn't sit well with me. When I first got there, it was Uriah and Joseph Benavidez, and that's mainly it. Joseph Benavidez was taking out the trash. He was working the front desk. And I showed up, and it was just the three of us. And then we started to slowly get. Then Justin Buchholz came, Chad Mendez came, T.J. Dillashaw came, and the team grew. And we're the best team in the world right now. And it's crazy that I was a part of the beginning and the start.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, you guys work hard, and the work that you're doing is hard, but it seems like you're really having a good time in there. I always see you guys, obviously you work hard, but, everyone's smiling, everyone's having a good time. It seems like, being a part of that gym, you guys, you really are having fun out there.
Yeah, we're all like-minded people. We get along, and, we care about each other, and, every day is a good day. It's a fun day. It's all laughs, but it's weird because some you would see all laughs, and, you would think that people aren't down, that they don't really train very hard, and you don't feel like they're serious, but we're all laughs, we have fun, but there's a switch. once we start working out, you know, the laps stop and we get after it. I think that's a tribute to all of us being, you know, like-minded individuals. Because we're all grinding. To this day, I'll tell you right now, there's nothing harder than this. Fighting. This is the hardest thing in my life. A 7-minute wrestling match, a lot of times fight. So I think that's growing up. All of us as wrestlers, you know, that gave us the work ethic that we have, and we're able to turn it off when we need to, and to have fun when we need to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, I read your UFC bio, and you touched on a little bit earlier what you were doing before you got into mixed martial arts, but I read your UFC bio, and it says you're 3 units short of a degree in communications. Did you ever go back to school, or are you planning to go back to school once fighting is over?
Not 3 units. It's more like 4 classes.
Okay.
It would probably be a whole semester. You know, that's definitely the plan. Eventually, you know, I hope to get it done. I told my mom that I would do it. And, you know, it's something that would make her proud, something that would make her happy. But right now, she's extremely proud. She's very happy at what I'm doing. I'm a business owner right now, and, you know, what I'm doing, I don't necessarily need a degree, but it'd be good to have one. And that's something that I plan to do in the future, and not sure when, but it's something that I want to complete.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The business you were talking about, PO2, Hot Pilates and Fitness, you opened up, I believe, in May of 2013. Where did that whole idea come together? Why did you decide to go down, you know, the health and fitness route? Obviously, you know, that's a big part of your life, you know, training for all this stuff and getting prepared for these fights. But, you know, why did you decide to go down that route?
Yeah, it's P2O.
Oh, P2O. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, the idea came to me when Uriah was the coach on Ultimate Fighter against Dominic Cruz. Not sure what season that was, but it was the longest season. It was a live season, and he brought all of us out to Vegas to live and to be coaches. I ran a camp out there. I think it was, God, I can't even remember. Oh, my Shoeless fight. The whole camp I did it out there, and while we were out there, Hot Pilates is extremely, you know, it's huge in Las Vegas. We went and tried it out. You know, there was a line at the door. There was beautiful women in there, a lot of people that were serious about fitness. And I had done hot yoga in the past, and when I did the Hot Pilates, I was like, whoa, that's a whole different ball game, you know, because I was super sore. You work all kinds of muscles that you don't in weightlifting and strength and conditioning and yoga and any of that stuff. It was like nothing I ever done before. You sweated about 4 pounds. It was crazy. I had a really close friend who was doing some teacher training in Las Vegas. She came back to Sacramento to visit her family. She called me up and she asked me where the best place to do Hot Pilates was. And I told her, we don't have any Hot Pilates studios in Sacramento. We just hot yoga. And she's like, that's crazy. You should open one. And, you know, I kind of laughed it off. I was like, yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be crazy, huh? Mm-hmm. You know, a year later, I won a few fights. I had some money stacked up. And she called me up and she's like, you really should put your money into something like that and really think about it. And, you know, the rest, I mean, that's basically it. Mm-hmm. You know, she's probably, you know, she's the co-owner of P2O, mm-hmm. But she's basically the brains behind the whole studio. And, you know, we work really well together. She's known me a long time. In fact, she knew me when I was wrestling in college, so she knows everything that's, you know, how passionate I am about things and how hard of a worker I am. And she took a gamble. We both took a gamble. And right now we're the #1 studio in Sacramento. We're doing extremely well, and the studio has changed my life completely.
Mm-hmm. How many clients do you have, and also how big is the facility?
We're under 4,000 square feet. We have about 170 members. We offer a variety of different classes. Anywhere our main main discipline is hot Pilates. But we also offer a power vinyasa yoga class. We offer TRX. We have a TRX fusion class. We have a bikini butt class. I teach a kettlebell class. I'm RKC certified. There's a ton of different classes that we teach. We're about 93% female. So we have a lot of classes that are geared towards women. We also have a bar class. It's kind of the latest craze that they have going on right now. It focuses on the lower body. And we have a Rip Fusion class, and we have a Dynamax class, which are med balls that we use. We have run groups. It's just it's a really cool studio, and what we created is something I've never experienced in any gym or studio before. It's a real community sense. Everyone cares about each other, and we've had members establish friendships, and it's really positive. And thinking back on it, it's just like I would never, 10 years ago, I never had any idea. You could tell me this, and I'd be like, yeah, right, you're crazy. I bet my life on that wouldn't happen. I'd be responsible for something making so many people, great people. I mean, and they're doing extremely well. We've had over 6 members lose over 40 pounds. 6 members that have done that, and I don't know, man. I go into that studio and I get motivation and inspiration from some of these females that. I can't really put a price on what I have at the studio, and I'm very fortunate for everything to work out the way it has.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just curious, how often are you at the studio, and when you have a fight coming up, like right now, if any, do you dial back how many hours you're working when you have a fight coming up?
Yeah, so I teach a class once a day, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Last camp, I pulled back 5 weeks before the fight, but right now I'm able to balance it, and this is my last week at the studio actually, and because last time I did it, I was really missing it, and I would find myself at the studio not even teaching class. So now I'm there teaching a class. I got 3 more days of teaching. I taught today, I teach tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, and then, I won't be at the studio until a week after the fight.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that the norm for you, or are you, extending it longer because you're fighting in your backyard? Like, is this just, business as usual with the amount of hours you're in there for?
Yeah, I mean, I truly enjoy it, and it's really motivating, so... something that I enjoy and something that motivates me to be a better person. And, the reward I get from helping other people and seeing people get better day by day is something that I want to continue to have. If I pulled back 5 weeks, I'd definitely miss it and find myself at the studio. So, I'm in there for another few days, and then the rest of the time, I'm pulling back on training, and I'll just relax and really start to dial in, and basically mentally dial in.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, you've been sober for 2+ years, which is a very big accomplishment, so congratulations on that. Was there AA involved? Was it just, you just started to stop drinking? How did this all come about? How were you able to stop drinking?
Well, I have one goal, and that's to be the best fighter in the world. Mm-hmm. There's no AAs. I got a DUI when I was in college back in 2004. So I was required to do some AA. But after that, I continued to drink and enjoy myself. I mean, I really enjoy having a nice cold Newcastle. I really enjoy having, a glass of Macallan on the rocks. But unfortunately, I want to be the best fighter I can possibly be, and ultimately, alcohol is basically poison. You're putting poison in your body. I'm fighting kids that are 22 years old. I'm getting up there in age, and it just doesn't make sense for me to be the best athlete possible if I'm continuing to drink, even if it's a glass of wine, even if it's just a beer here and there. It's a mental thing for me too. I gave up something that I really cared about for something I want really extremely bad. So, I'm not saying I'm drinking for the rest of my life, but as long as I'm a professional fighter, I won't drink.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, I know how you got the nickname Last Call, but when was exactly the point where it caught up with you? Was there an exact moment, or did you just decide to kick the habit because you just saw the future and like, what, if I want to make a serious run at this, I gotta stop doing what I'm doing? Was there one specific moment, or was it just something where you looked at the landscape and were like, hey, I gotta change?
Yeah, I was on vacation in Mexico in an all-inclusive resort where, alcohol, I could drink as much alcohol as I want. I was out there with my girlfriend at the time, and, we had a great night. We were drinking tequila, we were partying, enjoying, one of my wins. And the next day, I woke up with one of the nastiest hangovers I ever had. And I was sitting there, at the pool, and that's when I made the decision, thinking about my career, thinking about the success I had in the fight, and, I just kind of just made sense. I got to do this. And we had 3 days left on vacation, and my girlfriend at the time was like, I can't believe we spent all this money for you to drink and have a good time, and now you're not going to drink. I was like, well, I'm not going to put it off till Monday. I'm not going to put it off to the first of the month. I made the decision right there and then, and I stuck to it. It's willpower, man. If you want something bad enough, you'll do whatever you have to do to get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely an accomplishment. 2 years plus sober. I got to take my hat off to you. With your past. I know it had to be very difficult. But I'm just curious. I mean, I know it's poor timing for the question because we're on this the talk about you being sober, but I want to hear a story, because obviously you got the nickname Last Call because you were able to drink large amounts of alcohol late at night and then wake up the next morning and have these wrestling practice workouts when you're in college and still perform well. Tell me a story here. What wild night did you have one time and then wake up the next morning and everyone been blown away by how well you performed? Do you got a story?
Not really, man. I mean, I drank an 18-pack. They were like 6 or 7 shots, got up the next day. My teammates were like, there's no way you're going to make it to the AM runs. And I was like, you watch. And I got up, and I didn't win the run that day, but I came in second. And that's where it came from, man. There's not too many. It was something I did all throughout college. Definitely, it was in the off season, though. It wasn't during season. Because for some reason or another, I've been always able to stay disciplined in terms of eating well, not drinking, and staying away from the bad things when I'm in season because, I'm focused. Competing and being the best person I can be is definitely something that stuck with me ever since I started wrestling.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, coming up on August 30th, you're taking on Tony Ferguson. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
Man, Tony's a tough dude. I think his biggest attribute would be his durability. He's real long. He's rangy. He's got a lot of power in his hands. He's got some good jiu-jitsu. He's got good wrestling. He's a purple belt under 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. He's got decent wrestling. His boxing. He's got some pretty good boxing. But I feel like I've fought similar guys like this before in the past. I have a win over Tim Means, and I feel like Tim Means, height-wise, the range is kind of similar. He's a better wrestler than Tim Means was, but hands-wise, I think Tim Means had the better stand-up out of the two. But I guess we're gonna have to wait to see the August 30th, where we're 17 days out. Yeah, 17 days away.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're preparing for a fight, do you watch a lot of film on your opponent, or do you leave that up to your coaches? They break it down and then they give you feedback. How does it all work film-wise?
I watch a little bit for sure, but that's all left to Bang. Bang's the guy who breaks these opponents down. Bang's the guy that comes in with the drills and the combinations and what's going to work and what's not going to work. I have complete faith in him, and I leave that up to Coach.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think his camp is telling him to do against you in this fight?
Stay away from that right hand. Watch the takedowns. It's hard to say.
Mm-hmm.
They got to definitely know. That I got. They see my last fight. They know I have a one-punch knockout. They've got to know that I'm a vet in the sport. I have a feeling that he's seen me fight way before he even got on the Ultimate Fighter. Because, I fought in the WC. A lot of my fights were on TV. A lot of my fights were on Wreckage, where they replayed some of my fights. So, it's tough to say, but the crazy thing about MMA is it changes every 3 months. Some techniques work, some don't. Fighters like myself who, I pride myself on working hard and not staying stagnant. I think, some of the best veterans in the game, the sport passes them up, unfortunately, and that's because they don't change anything. But I change everything. I'm constantly trying to improve. I want to get my black belt in jiu-jitsu. I want to get my black belt or my brown belt in Bang Muay Thai. I want to be better. I want to be stronger. I want to be faster. So I'm always working hard.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that you're in your prime right now?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just curious, is visualization a part of your training?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Every day I'm thinking about this fight.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be, man. I see myself winning this fight multiple ways. I see myself being in bad position and getting out of those positions. What I do see is me winning the fight every time.
I see. So you never picture yourself in trouble and him winning? Because some fighters I've heard say, they picture every scenario. You've never pictured that? Maybe not in this camp, but in previous camps, it's never been in your mind?
It crosses my mind in the back of my head, but I push that thought out. I don't need any negative. There's already negative people online that don't even know me all the time. I get that on my Twitter. I get that on my social media. Like, I don't need to put any negative thoughts in my head. I'm going to win this fight.
Right. Well, Danny, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
No, man, to the fans, especially the people who've been with me since the beginning of my career, thanks so much, and I'm fighting for you, and the people who just, start to take notice of my career and who are behind me and supporting me, I just want to thank you guys, my friends and family, my team especially, my coaches, and you, man, thanks for having me on.
Danny, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck August 30th at UFC 177 against Tony Ferguson.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.